Hi, I'm Chandra Proffitt.
And I'm Jeremiah Proffitt.
Welcome to another episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV.
So we're back from SEMA, and that means most of the shiny things are gone. So in this episode, we are going to focus on some of the dirty, greasy, nasty, oily things that we start with before we can make beautiful creations like this one behind us.
And later in this episode, I'll tell you all about it. During the last episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV, we were busy getting ready for SEMA 2018. 4 of the Land Cruisers we took to SEMA were entered into the contest. One of our Land Cruisers was selected in the top 40, then the top 12, and finally in the top 3 of the truck and off-road category of this prestigious car show. Being in the top 12 was a credible honor for us because of the elite status of these vehicles. Builders spend literally years pouring tens of thousands of hours into each of these builds, and to have ours up on the stage amongst them is just absolutely incredible. You can see our Land Cruiser on the top 12 finalist episode that will premiere on Monday, January 7th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Motor Trend Network, previously known as the Velocity Channel.
So Alex is working on the frame of the 1970 FJ40 right behind us. There are usually a couple of dozen hours of frame repair and frame modification associated with a body off restoration, and he's right in the thick of it. So while Alex is working on the frame for this FJ40 out there, Clint's working on the body in here. This body is going to go to the sandblaster and be completely sandblasted to bare metal. But before we do that, we like to cut out and expose any of the rust and bad areas so that the sandblasting can penetrate and get rid of all the rust. What have you found on this guy so far?
Well, the driver's side rocker was gone, and all the little inside brackets were gone as well, so I had to reproduce those. Part of the floor pan, so you got 2 edges coming together. It's pretty hard to do, so this will get a sill and wheel wells and all kinds of stuff.
This thing's had some body work done before, huh?
Yeah.
This is the kind of fun stuff that we get to uncover when we haven't seen a vehicle in person and then it shows up at the shop. Somebody's done a restoration to this FJ40 before, and it wasn't properly done. You can see where they've used fiberglass filler to cover up holes where the spare tire carrier used to be, and they also covered up some rust with the fiberglass filler. That kind of repair is never going to last, so we're going to get rid of the evidence and all of that bad body work and rust repair and do it right. So another modification that this 1970 FJ40 is going to get is that the owner wants ambulance doors in the back. The ambulance doors are from a little bit newer model FJ40, 75 and newer to be exact. And they make getting in and out of the back by yourself a lot easier. The problem is, even though the general opening of the earlier FJ40 in the back is the same size as a later one, they don't have the exact right provisions on the tub to accept ambulance doors. So we're going to have to modify that, and we've also modified that on another Land Cruiser in the shop. So let's go check it out and see how we did it. So this is an FJ43, and they never had ambulance doors, but we're building a custom hardtop for it, and so we've managed to it looks like we really made a mess of things here, but actually this is pretty cool. It's some work, but this used to be an outside corner, and we've added this inside corner all the way around the opening for the ambulance doors, so the doors have a place to close into now like they would in a newer FJ40, and there's also room for the weather stripping. Labor intensive, but it's the only way to do it right. While Alex is grinding on the frame for this 1970 FJ40 and Clint's working on the body, Eddie is putting the transfer case on the brand new H55F Toyota 5-speed. Why all the things at once? Well, it's just because there's a lot of modifications to a vehicle, and it's at this point in the build that you have to make provisions for all those modifications. Custom engine mounts, cross members, suspension component weld-ons like shackle reversals, power steering modifications, rock sliders, rear bumpers. Those are all things that need to be thought about way before you get into the assembly stage. And so you almost have to pre-build the entire vehicle, or at least think it all over now. Get every possible modification planned and worked together into the build so that there's no afterthought looking scenarios later on, and there's just a lot of planning, a lot of things that go on, things that happen in unison. It's one of the things that makes it fun. So this is the gauge cluster for this body off FJ60 restoration with a 5.3 liter Vortex. And like you've heard me say before, I don't like afterthoughts or things that look like they don't really belong, so this has a couple of unique features that I just thought I'd point out. You can see where it used to say choke right here. We've removed that lens and printed check engine on it. It's just a nice little touch to put the check engine light in the original cluster. It looks really OEM. And then another cool thing is the original tachometer won't work with the V8. So we've got an aftermarket tachometer retrofitted into the housing. And then to make it look like the Toyota faceplate, we've taken the original graphics off and then re-screen printed the appropriate range for the new tachometer for the new engine in there. So it has a real OEM look, but it matches the engine. Check engine light for the new engine. Pretty cool thing. FJ60 gauge cluster. So I am standing where that Land Cruiser you saw a picture of when it was complete was. And now what's here is just a big empty space. That's because the Land Cruiser has been completely disassembled and there are really no recognizable parts of the whole anymore. Got a separate body, fenders, tub, things are at sandblast, things are getting prepped for zinc, mechanical repairs are in process, and keeping all of that organized is the key to being able to reassemble the vehicle efficiently so we know where everything is and we know it's ready to go. And I'm going to let Bob clue you in on how we do it here.
We organize all of our parts using a 5S system. We use shelving with labels, making it easy to locate the parts during our reassembly process. For example, we use labels such as parts to be powder coated, parts to be painted, parts to be zinc plated, and parts to be cleaned and reused. The challenging part is keeping the shelves organized through the end of the project.
So Matt and the guys are getting close to being done with this 76 FJ40 body off. And so we want to start another project right now so that we can make sure that these guys always have something to do. So Matt's project is next on deck and it's another beginning. Let's go check it out. So this is Matt and a couple of the other guys' new projects, moving from that red 1976 FJ40 that's going back together to this 1976 FJ40 that's coming apart. Not much has been touched yet since it's been here. Matt, what do we got going on?
Well, this is your typical FJ40 builder. They come in well used and usually well modified. So what you can see here is that someone's already done a fender cutout here, had some rock sliders on, they've modified the rocker area. They also cut out the rear wheel opening and had some flares on there. And we're going to be bringing this back to more of a stock look. It's going to have some sliders, but we're going to have to fill in some sheet metal, do some repair of cracks. We're going to replace the wheel openings and probably do a spring swap and move that rear axle back a little bit. And anything that somebody's done that has that kind of aftermarket bolt-on look, we tend to eliminate that. So we're going to be welding in holes, filling in stuff, doing some custom bumpers. And in the engine compartment, same thing going on. We've had some aftermarket modifications here. Somebody went ahead and put on a Holley carburetor. They've got some electrical bolt-on add-on stuff that they did. We're going to eliminate most of that. Also, we're going to be pulling this engine out, putting in a 3FE Toyota fuel-injected engine with a 5-speed transmission. He's going to get power steering and AC. Those are things that make it a little more fun to drive, a little more creature comfort, but we still retain the Toyota DNA, keeping it all Toyota as much as we can.
What about this wire nut, Matt? Can we leave this wire nut?
That's a negative there, Ghost Rider. Keep watching these episodes. In about 6 months, you're going to be able to see what this vehicle looks like when it's completed with all the modifications and looking like a brand new vehicle. So keep tuned.
So this is another beginning. This is a 1982 FJ40, and it's in the same kind of stages. The one you saw Alex working on the frame earlier. It's a bare frame at this point. It's already been completely disassembled. This restoration is going to be more stock, so there's not a lot of modifications to this frame. Unfortunately, we couldn't leave the frame alone. How come?
Because this rear cross member was fully rotten out. As you can see, it wasn't easily repaired, so we started over with a new channel, laid out all the holes for the pinhole, the bumperettes, your lights, body mounts on the top, made the top flange wider to match it, so it had the same recess. And then have to rebuild their 45 braces coming in, and I'll have to rebuild the bottom side of the channel so that it is not missing.
Needs to be there.
Yeah.
FJ40 frames don't rust that bad, except for right here in the back. This is like the only common rust place, which is good. This frame is just as solid as it was brand new, with the exception of with the repairs that Dave's gonna make, and then it'll be as good as new.
And we still have to make a shackle hanger, which was completely homebrew. So we have to duplicate what Toyota had, and we'll, that's one of the last pieces of this puzzle.
And then it'll be ready. Another beginning.
Another beginning.
So the frame that we just looked at that Dave was repairing was underneath this equally rusty FJ40. Now these newer, 79 and newer ones rust the worst. And rather than repair this tub, it was so far gone, as you can see in the pictures, that it was necessary to replace the back 2/3 of the tub with an aftermarket unit. This one from Cool Cruisers of Texas, and they are the best aftermarket tubs you can get. Still not ready to go right out of the box. You still have to add brackets, you have to add the gas filler. A few things need to be massaged, but it's a way to get a very nice finished product. And as you can see, this beginning, FJ40, the body here is ready for body work, and it won't be too long before it and that rusty frame are both ready for paint and refinishing to make a beautiful finished product. So I told you that the body tubs needed a little bit of modification, and one of the things is that they need holes drilled in them for the factory running boards. This was really rusty, and running boards being so close to the ground often get some of the worst of the salt spray or mag chloride, so they rust out. Luckily, running boards are still available brand new from Toyota. There's some aftermarket sources too, but these are brand new from the Toyota dealer. They only have these up through 1978, so this running board doesn't have the cutout right here that's necessary for this pinch weld. But that's okay. We can add that just as easily as repair an old running board. In fact, it's a lot easier to do it that way. And so you can see right here, we'll just mimic the factory cutout, drill the holes, and then this new tub is going to get brand new running boards from Toyota. So I can't resist another tech tip about this FJ60 body off restoration. These door panels are new. We've got the replica OEM fabric and sewn the original pattern in, and so this is a brand new door panel that looks very factory. Problem is, the foam that is available now is thicker than what Toyota had, and also the extra seams and everything else mean that the door panel is going to be a thicker unit, and because everything is wrapped around, it's harder to get it into the original door panel clips. So 3D printing is a wonderful thing, and what we've designed is this door panel clip socket that actually has an additional detent for the original Toyota door panel pin to go into. So you can see that it clicks once and then clicks again. This is the spot where the original detent would be, but the first spot is there to catch the ones that are just so stubborn that you can't get them all the way in. You see guys trying to put door panels on, and they'll be really just trying to slam them, and half the time they just fall right back off. So this door panel female socket eliminates the need for that. Door panels are held securely on, even though they're a little bit thicker. These little babies take about a half an hour a piece to print, so enough to do all 4 door panels and the cargo panels. 60 of these things, about 30 hours, almost a week to print out enough of these, but it's worth it.
As we've mentioned before, 60 Series Land Cruisers have become very popular. This particular Land Cruiser has received our most thorough restoration. This Stage 3 body-off restoration has been completely disassembled and restored from the ground up. The entire chassis has been completely restored with a powder-coated frame and a new suspension. Under the hood is a 5.3-liter Chevy Vortec engine, mated to a 4L60E automatic transmission. We set this vehicle up to be 50 state emission compliant, and it has a high-temp powder-coated exhaust system. Much has been done to this vehicle to make it as nice as it is, but one of the things we are most proud of is the interior. We wanted the interior to look as factory as possible, so only OEM or OEM replica materials were used. We even custom built an OEM look-alike tachometer to match the engine's RPM range. Every part and all of the materials were meticulously chosen in order to make this the nicest FJ60 possible. Land Cruisers like this aren't just pretty to look at. We build Land Cruisers for people to drive them. So let's get it out on the road and see what it'll do.
So we want to add a little driving element to some of these videos. We build these things and we never get to take them out. So because this is such a fun Land Cruiser to take out and drive, let's do it. It's got a V8 engine, which is kind of blasphemy in a way with Land Cruisers today. It's certainly on, you know, a certain model year FJ40s, it's the wrong thing to do, put a V8 in a Land Cruiser, but the FJ60s are just so darn practical with them. I mean, this is a comfortable vehicle, it'll haul your family. It's got good heat, good AC, good brakes, lots of room, good for an overland vehicle.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV.
If you want to learn more about us, check out our website at resurrectionlandcruisers.com. We're also always posting new content on Instagram under Pro Cruiser and on our Facebook page, Resurrection Land Cruisers.
Also, don't forget to check out our 79 Series Land Cruiser, first and only Land Cruiser to make it to the top 12 Battle of the Builders, on January 7th on the Motor Trend Network. Thanks for watching Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV.
You should be able to ramble on a little bit about it on camera. You're good. You take every.
Chad talked about it. I just taught him.
Chad talked about it in the last video.
No, I did.
We get God dang these guys. Who else? What are we? Everybody's gonna think we only have 3 employees. What happened to Bob? Bob does not work there anymore. No, I haven't seen Bob in any of the videos in the last 6 episodes. Where's Bob? It's not just wire nuts. When we get these things, it's always fun to check them out. Look at this. This engine probably has some blow-by, and so that would cause the oil pressure cap, or the cap on top of the valve cover to come off. So here's a clever oil cap hold down device. Ingenuity. And a rivet jammed in the vacuum hose plug off. It's another good one.